Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Delighted to have your company today. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Hugh McDonald and Tam McManus here with me to discuss the weekend's football, of course, for Scottish Premiership games, but the majority of our discussion, I think, will focus on that Hampden final between Celtic and Rangers, the Viaplay League Cup final, where eventually Celtic triumphed by 2-1. So many questions. We'll hear from Michael Beale and Ange Postecoglou. We'll also look over those Premiership games, and there's a small matter of the quiz and the competition as well, and a new one at that, and a winner from last week from that Messi shirt. But first and foremost, it's all roads lead to Hampden, and with that in mind, the star of the show was undoubtedly Kyogo Furuhashi. So that's our quiz question today, which we'll give you at the end of the programme. From which club did Celtic sign Kyogo Furuhashi? If you know the answer, stick it in the feed and we'll announce it at the end of the programme. But certainly he was the... Do you know it, Ruffy?
I know it was the team that Ange managed.
Okay, well, if you know it, then good luck with that. We will read out so many of your points of view. We'll also be talking about Dundee United and their search for a new manager, because I think the general consensus now is that if you are signing a contract as a new manager of a club, you get around about 19 games, 22 if you're lucky, and then you're sacked. So give us your thoughts on that as well. And thank you to everyone for joining us, because there's so much to look forward to, including the competition here this week. It's a belter.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. Rangers fans, Celtic fans recognise this jersey. Of course, you've played against them both in European football recently. It's the jersey of RB Leipzig. You can win this by answering the following simple question. What does the RB stand for in RB Leipzig? If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's a good prize, Hugh, isn't it?
Oh, a great prize. I'm not a great fan of Leipzig, but it is a good prize, you know.
Yeah.
I just think they're kind of...
Not quite get the history of a Dortmund, have they?
No, not quite a, shall we say, a modern club, you know.
Yeah, okay. Let's...
Although I'll tell you one thing, I had a great day there. I went to the stadium. The stadium's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Had a great day.
Okay, it's a good prize. It's unique. If somebody gets that, they think fantastic.
Sure,
well, last week's, I went out of my way as soon as they'd won the World Cup to get the 3-star replica Messi shirt.
That is a belter.
You know, so I got it right away. And the winner of last week's competition is Scott Fraser, who's a Partick Thistle and Liverpool fan.
Oh, well.
Not a bad combination, Ruffy.
No,
so
well done. Well done, the Jags.
Yep, and he's from Coatbridge. Well done to you, Scott. The top is on its way to you as we speak, and so many.
I can deliver that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Coatbridge is fine, but
I could take it to a game.
I've posted it. To be fair, when's the last? When's the last? You're not even allowed in. So that's the competition, and remember, you can subscribe as well, and that will double your chances of getting selected. So well done to everyone for the last couple of weeks entering the competition and subscribing. We really do value your commitment, and of course joining the football family. Okay, said that. Couple of things that I want to highlight to you. First and foremost, it was Rangers 1, Celtic 2. So Callum McGregor said first and foremost that he was going to do his talking on the pitch rather than any kind of noise-ups before the game, and he did it.
Yeah, he did. We spoke about it before the game started. He's becoming more of a player who is actually controlling the game now. He's controlling the tempo of the game. He's bringing out all the other players into the game, and he's just strolling through it, and I think there was somebody on the telly was saying he could play for anybody at this moment in time. He could play for any top English club. He could walk into any of the teams, and I think that's just the form that he's in and the confidence that he's got, and he's done particularly well. And I think am I getting this figure right? He's won 18 finals. 18 medals he's got.
18
never lost a final at Hampden.
18 medals.
Unbelievable.
14 finals. Never
Absolutely
lost one.
unbelievable.
It's incredible, isn't it?
But I think the way he's grown into not just being a player, but the way he's grown into being the captain of Celtic has really been very impressive. Does the right things, says the right things. You hear from people inside the dressing room how much he's admired, how much he is as a leader in there. I think before he became captain, people might have said, you know, has he got a strong enough personality to carry the team? He showed that. Another thing about it as well is people talk about players going through tough spells. You've got to remember that he wasn't like the favoured son at Celtic. He went and loaned in Notts County, you know, and came back from that.
Put left back as well at times.
And he is really. I mean, I think he's you know, he's very much the most. I mean, there's good performances in the Celtic team. There has been all season. But Callum McGregor is, for me, is the most important Celtic player.
Yeah. Okay, to the game itself then, Tom. If anything, and it's something that I think we all try and emphasise, you know, whether it's a pundit or a journalist who works for the company, or indeed you're trying to call things as you see it, the amount of people, you know, and I include some people in our profession who just wave flags and don't look at the evidence that's in front of you. I thought it was going to be very difficult to see how Rangers could defeat Celtic based on the evidence of watching both teams, watching the quality of the squad and the depth of the squad. I mean, at the end of it, Celtic won it because they absolutely bossed the midfield.
Yeah, I think over the piece they won all the big battles. I think we spoke about the wide areas. I thought Celtic's two wide men forced the Rangers full-backs backwards. I thought in the middle of the pitch, I thought Celtic looked as if they had more energy, more legs. I thought Rangers looked one-paced. Lundstrom in there, Kamara in there. Tillman wasn't fit. I don't think he was fit.
Did he pick the wrong team?
Possibly. I think he needed more legs in there. I thought they threw in there. Celtic's midfield three run over the top of them. You've seen the fitness levels of Celtic in the last 5-10 minutes. I know Rangers were pushing, but Celtic could have scored another couple towards the end of the game as well. I think Celtic are a fitter team as well. I think they're a fitter team. They've got more energy. They've got more pace in their team. And I just thought that Celtic won the game comfortably without playing really well. I thought that, you know, Rangers played well at Ibrox, 2 each. I don't think Celtic played particularly well yesterday either, and Celtic still won. So I think if you're Michael Beale, if you're a Rangers fan, I think we need to get better to improve, because if Celtic really hit their straps, you know, we're going to struggle to beat them this season.
Yeah, the one thing that I think is key to this whole thing, Hugh, is Michael Beale's got a job where he himself as a Rangers manager has emphasised it's not a short-term view on things. Yes, he would like to win the cup. Yes, it would be a huge shot in the arm for Rangers. For me, the burning issue here is that Michael Beale's biggest task for me is trying to make sure that Rangers can keep pace with Celtic, a club that's got 50 million in the bank, where Rangers will need investment in the summer, and they will need to back that manager because he's got a big rebuilding job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. See, when you look at things and you say, well, this club's a mess, this club... We can see how quickly it can turn about. Ange Postecoglou did it with Celtic. He hit the ground running, brought in it, and within a season turned it around. Ten Hag's done the same with Manchester United. But you need two things. You need a good manager, and you need good recruitment. And good recruitment just doesn't come down to having an eye for a player. Good recruitment comes down to having money. So you need these two things. The Rangers fans will be sitting this morning saying, well, have we got either or here? Have we got both? Because I think the money that needs to come in now to revamp the squad, I'll just throw it out there to the viewers who, you know, of a Rangers persuasion. How many players that was on the park yesterday or on the bench would they keep? And if they'll come up with an answer, that means there's got to be a massive influx of players during the summer.
Yeah, I mean, Rafi, that is the case, isn't it?
Another thing as well is, you know, Hugh's right, you need money, you know, and Celtic had the money. They not only had the money, they had the players to back up the money. Mm-hmm. And I forget the whole figure that Ange spending was. It was something like 47 million, but he sold 47 million. Rangers haven't got 47 million to sell, you know, so they'll have to have ready cash, which Hugh's already said we don't think they have. So they don't have players now, because they messed up Kent and because they messed up Morales. They don't have a large sum of money. They might have maybe 15 to 20 million if they'd sold them at the right time.
Yeah.
But they don't have any player that they can throw out there to amass the money that they need to spend.
Yeah, and I think they do need someone who is clearly going to have to invest, because Douglas Park will not have a bottomless pit where he's constantly having to invest. And of course there are other individuals who have stepped up to the plate for Rangers. As far as the game overall is concerned though, when they did have, and there was a good 20-minute spell when Rangers suddenly got a grip of it and Celtic looked ragged, But there was the finishing was poor. Sakala's got a burst in it, Hugh. I mean, he's got an open goal. He can roll it in from the angle. He hits the side netting.
That's why he's, with his pace and his kind of directness. That's why he's playing in the Scottish Premiership, because he doesn't have that ally to any poise in front of goal. You could tell he was going to snatch it. He's done that before. He just snatches at things at times. I just felt, me, I've got a great thing about football. If I'm looking at a game before it, and I did it with Liverpool, Real Madrid the other week, I look at them two midfields. I say, well, if it was the local, your primary school team or whatever, you just look at what the guys have got, in local amateur team even, what have they got in midfield against what Celtic have in midfield? And if you're looking at the midfield, Tillman, Lundstram and Kamara up against Hatate, Moy and McGregor, I'm sorry, I'm not saying Rangers can't win, because St Mirren beat Celtic early in the season. Anything can happen in a 90-minute game. But you're looking at yourself, the odds have really tilted in that midfield.
Yeah. None of the Rangers midfield would get a game for Celtic. I look at Celtic's four, I'd look at McGregor, Moy, O'Reilly and Hatate. None of the Rangers midfield are any better than they four.
Yeah.
When they get into the team.
Yeah. And the other thing about it though, I mean, you've got to look at it. Roy says, after Peter, Alan, Hugh, it was the wrong midfield, and indeed first team players, young fresh lads, were left on the bench. And I think the general feeling I'm getting from most of this feed is that he picked the wrong team. He should have maybe got Raskin and Cantwell on from the start.
I think he went for experience.
No.
I think he went for old firm experience. People that have been there and played in that game.
Yeah.
I think it would have been risky, probably more risky to put Cantwell and Raskin in for the start. I think he's maybe thinking, like, just stay in the game, maybe bring them on later on. But I thought Celtic exposed their lack of energy and lack of legs in the midfield, particularly Hatate and McGregor running by people. I think you seen for the first goal, Lundstrom's nowhere near quick enough getting back in, and the ball comes across, it's poor defending, I think from Golson at the front post. So, no, I think if he started them and the both of them were out their depth and looked a fish out of water, people would say, why did you not play? Tried and trusted. So whatever one he made, Peter, it was going to be risky either way, but I think Rangers looked better when they brought the two of them on, because two of them are younger lads and they've got legs to get about the place, and you need that when you're playing against Celtic.
Yeah, the other thing I didn't like about the game, Hugh, I mean, it's rough to say, it's not a classic. I thought Celtic played the better football on a very poor pitch.
I know, the pitch was, and we were assured beforehand that it was all problems have been solved, etc., etc. I don't know. I mean, it's just, from an outsider, you think, well, how can it be that poor when so little football's played on it? You just look, and for a showpiece occasion, it doesn't do the game any good, playing on that, especially when you can go to grounds now throughout Scotland that have been played on regularly, and you say, God, that's a good surface, still a good surface. Motherwell, yeah. Going back to Tam's point about the team and pickup, the thing about Rangers Celtic games is, see, if you lose, right, the narrative becomes huge and everything's picked through and everything's gone through. And if you lose, you've always picked the wrong team.
Yeah.
You've always made mistakes here. If you lose, why did Sakala come out and say such and such? I mean, everything gets poured over. I think his big error, Mike, was overcautious. He did. I think he looked at it and he says, we're playing Celtic today. I'm just going to go with the tried and trusted. I'm going to go with the Lundstroms and Kamara. I think he said, I'll go with Tillman, who didn't look fit, because he's the only guy that can create behind the front three. I'm going to go for the tried and tested, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I thought Lundstrom would have been, half decent in there with legs to put a bit of bite in, if only for the fact that they don't have enough quality to match Celtic. But that didn't materialise. He was off it as well. Fair play to Celtic, the way they went about their business when they got the second one. You could really only see one winner, and I think Ange Postecoglou, not only happy to win the trophy, but well aware of the managers that he's followed and the job that he has to do. It's not about me personally, how I feel. Like I said, that's the expectations when you're at this football club. That I'm doing interviews with Gordon Strachan, mate. You know how hard it is following guys like that, and Martin and Brendan and Neil Lennon, and
this club is steeped in success. So when you take the job, you know that's your responsibility.
Yeah, I think he understands completely what it's like. He's brought in players. The majority of them have been, good buys, Tam, that they've stepped up to the plate for him, and he's bringing on substitutes, which again these players are contributing as well. I mean, Kyogo, and I'll hold my hands up here, there was a wee period at the start of the season where I thought he was just slightly off it, but he's not off it now.
No, I've always been a big fan of him from day one. I think you can tell when you look at someone's movement, and we've both seen him close up. He's small, he's only 5'8", 5'9". He's not a pick on him. You would think he would get bullied by big centre halves, but it's just his movement. And if you're a defender and you look at the ball for a split second, he's got you. You've seen it yesterday with the goals. He knows where to be in the middle of the goals. He plays within the posts. He gets a lot of goals just running across people. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he'd have scored 30 goals last season if he'd been fit, and I think he'll get 30 plus this season. He's 28. He's in the peak of his career as a striker, and Celtic will be. I think we'll be trying to get him tied down to another deal, because that's 2 cup finals he's won. I was at the Hibs game for Hibs TV, and I thought, if Hibs have got Celtic here, no. Great ball in behind, great movement, lobbed the goalkeeper, and that was a game done. And yesterday he won the game as well. So he turns up in big games, scored the equaliser at Rangers. So listen. You get criticised for the Champions League for not taking these chances, but if you're going to get somebody that's guaranteed to score goals in the Champions League, you're paying 30, 40, 50 million pounds for him. So I think domestically he's shown that he's a big game player and he can score in the big moments.
The Celtic wide players don't even look up now.
Just whip it across the goal. He's going to make the run.
They just put it right into the middle of goal, and there was an occasion when Rangers did it, and I think it was Cameron Vickers. If Kyogo had been in that, he'd have been in front of him. That's what he does, and that's what they must do in training. They must just put it into the box, and he either moves forward or he peels off.
And I think a lot of Rangers fans were hoping that Sakala could use his pace, run at Greg Taylor, and maybe create something. He did it once, but then after that, nothing really sparked for Rangers. Ryan Kent, again, big game, looking for him to produce a little bit of magic. A couple of shots, one of them well over the bar, when you were really looking for him to provide a little trick or a pass that could open the whole thing up, but it didn't happen. Thanks to so many of you for giving us your thoughts on it. Jean says we were better all over the park and should have scored more than 2. A lot of people very complimentary about Ange Postecoglou and the job he's doing there, and quite a few people highlighting the fact that when you look at the Rangers, I think the general consensus from most of the people who are talking about it is quite simply they were not happy with some of the players. Kamara seems so promising but hasn't done anything in how long, says Craig Campbell.
He's another one that Rangers could have got big money for at one point. I think there was a big French team or a German team in for him. I don't think Rangers have cashed in at the right time. They've done it with Bassey, but I think with Morelos, Kent, Kamara possibly, I think they've missed the boat with all 3 of them for big money.
Absolutely missed the boat, because Kent and Morelos can do what they want now in the summer. It's down to them. It's in their decision. They can say, right, we go and we get the signing on fee that's going to be huge because there's no transfer fee involved. So we can do what we want now. So that's always a dangerous position when you're a club. I mean, it makes like Celtic seem to be more, well, not seem to be, like proactive. I mean, Juranovic and Giacomakis out, I mean, for different reasons, but out the door, jig time, you've got 10 million, right, we'll take that now, and I think it's what's happening in-house as well, in terms of strategy and planning. I think Starfelt will go in the summer.
Yeah?
Yep. And because I think that'll be the right time to sell him, because I think we know that there's clubs looking at him in England. I think he's a good player. He's prone to the odd mistake, but they've got Kobayashi in the reserves.
Yeah. The damning fact here, I think, from a number of Rangers fans is they're not happy about that starting 11, but Michael Beale tried to justify his team selection.
Well, listen, since I come back in, I've tried to provide some consistency and clarity in terms of messages that the team are comfortable with, and that same team played ever so well in the Old Firm at New Year. It played the best performance in terms of 90 minutes since I come back away at Hearts, and on that night it was excellent. So we had our goals on the pitch. Tillman and the front three have been in fine form since I've come back.
It's exactly what Hugh was saying, Ruffy. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, you're right, but I don't agree with it to a certain extent. I thought the two new players, he talked them up so much, you know, how good they were, and they were going to be just light up Scottish football, and they're going to, this guy's going to do this, and then you put them on the bench. You know, I just don't get it. I think they're better than the ones that with Ludstrom and Kamara hadn't been setting the head on fire at all. So they're experienced players. They've played top class football. I think an old firm games shouldn't faze them at all. They should be good enough.
I think he was just cautious. I think he just knew what was going to be up against him on the day. And I think he just said, I'll go with the tried and trusted. I agree with you, it didn't work out. I don't know if I'd have paid Cantwell, because Cantwell looks to me like a player who, and you know, he saw it in Norwich, is very good going forward, and when things are going for you, you know, he might be the player to have. But I'd definitely play Raskin, because I think he's got legs. I think he can, I think technically he looks already a decent player in a very limited time of sale. And I just think, and people say, well, who would you have played in front? You could toss a coin for Lundstrom or Kamara, because I don't think they were at the races.
Yeah, the captain of Rangers, James Tavernier, apologised to the fans for the performance, just not good enough. And I think a number of Rangers fans, and I think there's a tremendous knee-jerk reaction where there's a number of Rangers fans will have a wad of players on their hit list that are just not good enough because that trophy. I think it becomes more, vociferous in the chants from the Rangers fans and of course on the message boards, because there's only one trophy possibly left now for them, because they're 9 points behind. They wanted to see, that shot in the arm for the cup that just didn't materialise.
Yeah, I think it's because Celtic are dominating. Listen, they're winning everything at the moment. Rangers, obviously the big one was stopping 10 in a row, which they done, and they won the Scottish Cup, but apart from that, it's been slim picking. Celtic have won everything. You get guys like Callum McGregor, many trophies he got in the cabinet, and there could be many more to come. So, no, I think they are frustrated. They know the league's gone, and there was 2 cups to play for, and I think the performance will disappoint them. I think if I said it in the show on Friday, if Rangers turn up and they've got 7 or 8 players who play well on the day, and you think he was good or he played well, and you're struggling to pick a man of the match, then I think Rangers would have won. I'm looking at the Rangers team and I'm thinking, who played well for Rangers yesterday? And there's not many, if any, I can think he played well.
Yeah.
And you're never going to beat Celtic, and I don't think Celtic were at it. And Rangers will look at it, and the fans will be going, they weren't at it, and we weren't at it. If we had 7 or 8 playing at the top of their game, we would have won that cup, and I think that's the most frustrating thing.
And the other aspect of this, as I mentioned at the start of the programme, for Rangers and for Michael Beale, not only do Rangers need investment on a big scale to try and match what Celtic are achieving, Celtic will almost certainly go into the group stages of the Champions League. Rangers might have 1 or 2 qualifiers to try and get there, so that becomes critical at a point where they're going to have to change that team, because Ange Postecoglou is some way down the line to getting what he's striving for. I don't think he's ever happy with the ultimate performance. He's never going to get that, but he's striving to put a squad together that can do what Tam was mentioning, which is get beyond the group stages of the Champions League, maybe to a qualifier, a knockout qualifier, where a knockout section where he says, well, listen, I've punched well above my weight with this. Now, if that's Celtic and they're continually building and tweaking and saying, right, okay, this is the type of football I want to play, Rangers, on the other hand, have to hope, right, you get past 2 qualifiers with a new squad, new players, to get to that group stage. All of these things are gambles on the money as well, aren't they?
Yeah, because you can look at it, and Ange Postecoglou would never agree with you, but the big work for Ange Postecoglou is done. He dug the foundations and he laid them.
Yeah.
Everything now is adding to that. He's got a really... If you look at that Celtic team now, you say to yourself, well, do you know, where honestly does it need strength? And I'm not talking about strength to go against Real Madrid and all that, but I'm talking about there's no crisis at Celtic, what I'm saying. They've basically got 2 guys in every position. You just have to look at the bench that could come in and do a job. So what he's thinking about at the moment is saying, well, how do we really get stronger?
Yeah.
And he's looking at the accounts, and somebody tells 50 million in the bank. There's, you're going to almost certainly be in the Champions League, and the way that Celtic manipulate the money for the Champions League is terrific. So there's another 20, 30 million coming in there. we might sell a player because he's very open to this, and we talked about it earlier, Starfield or something, you get another 10 and all. So suddenly he's got a real reservoir of money.
Yeah.
And then he can say, well, I'm not firefighting here. What do I need? Do I need another centre half? I don't think he does with Kobayashi. Do you need to upgrade the midfield? Maybe put him better? Do I need another centre forward? I mean, he's won from a position of strength. If you're sitting with Michael Beale, you're sitting with a pen and a paper and you're going, right, who forgot?
Or who do I keep?
Exactly.
Yeah. The other aspect of this as well is I do think when we have a programme, the change in the attitude, you know, August to December and then December to May, Ruffy, is quite simply we do change our opinion on the basis that suddenly Celtic and Rangers and you know, to a lesser extent the other clubs who've failed at times in the European competition, we change our attitude to what they're playing against. They suddenly come out of that domestic league and go in, and then you start to see the real players that they're coming up against, and what you thought was a half decent player from January to May is not that good when you're up against an RB Leipzig, a Porto, you name it.
I don't think. I think Celtic will be more experienced this time when they're in it, but I still don't think they're anywhere near qualifying for a group stage. I don't think they've got players that are good enough when you see the quality that they're coming up against, you know, of other teams. I still don't. I think
there were periods.
Yeah,
I think
but I don't.
I would disagree with you.
I think it all depends what group again.
We'll have to wait and see, because they were fortunate enough they didn't have two big sides. You know, I actually saw that when the group came out that they should qualify initially.
Yeah.
The last time.
Well,
I still don't think they've got that quality striker that wins you games.
Yeah.
Well, I think the best Celtic performance of the season, and I think Postecoglou might agree with me, was the first 60 minutes against Real Madrid.
Yes, by far.
And I think the best they've played all
and I think that's those performances, and certainly away from home in certain games, not the one in Madrid.
Should have beat Shakhtar away from home.
Shakhtar, you know, and those two games against them could have been 6 points, and then maybe, you know, Leipzig, if they could have, you know, done something there, that it would have been different. But again, Leipzig could outspend them 10-1 easily.
Screw Man City.
Yeah,
Not a bad side.
So you know, these are the big questions they're asking. But overall, Celtic won it by 2-1. It's the first domestic trophy of the season on offer. It's in the cabinet again for Ange Postecoglou. Just a quick word and a couple of things I want to get, and then obviously a couple of little unsavoury points that I think it's only right that we should mention. But Kyogo, a double again in a League Cup final, and he just, you know, the people were wondering who was going to start, even when he's run himself into the ground, and Maeda, off they go, on comes Iwata, on comes O.
I know, and it's the same in midfield. And I think of the wide players, I think, you know, what a record Abada's got against Rangers, and we know he's always going to play Maeda. It's his player, and I think Haksabanovic is a good player as well. Yeah. He hasn't been given an awful lot of chance, but yeah. But going back to Furuhashi, I think the great thing about him is, he's given two glimpses in League Cup finals of the kind of goals he's capable of. That middle of the goal, sharp run, gets two, and the two against Hibs, about runs in behind and technique, both really difficult finishes, and both taken with aplomb. But he's got a ceiling to get. I mean, everybody's talking about it being 2-1. I mean, he could have scored another 2 goals. Just it was 1-1 with McGregor, and he had a real free header that, you know, he probably should have scored with. So he'll know that he can go up another level as well. But but he's Celtic's, very much Celtic's talisman at the moment.
Yeah, referee Nick Walsh. This programme, you know, and many other radio and television broadcast people are highly critical of referees. Does he deserve praise?
Yeah, I think so. I think he handled a couple of decisions, you know, that he got right away, and it was good. We say on the show, try and make the decisions yourself. You don't have to go to that VAR screen all the time. And I don't know who, maybe people were shouting in his ear, but he seemed to want to referee it himself. He didn't want to complicate it, make the decisions and move on. And I don't think we could sit here and say there was any of the major decisions that he got wrong.
Okay, couple of unsavoury things. If you invest time and indulge a group of supporters and give them that feeling that they are not only a vital cog in the support of the club, but they can get away with murder, then, you know, you pay the consequences at times. Even before that game had kicked off, the Union Bears and the Green Brigade, these young kids were all fighting in the morning.
Yep, yeah, and it was all about access to the stadium, so they both knew they were going to be there early, so it was synchronise your watches time. I don't know what you say about it, I really don't, because you go on and on about it, and it happens with a kind of tedious regularity of hooliganism outside the stadium. The only thing I can say is that it's very, very difficult to police, particularly when you make it clear that both sets of supporters are allowed access to the stadium. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Another thing about it as well is if you get even more of them in, there's not a lot of police at games now, Hugh. Do you know what I mean? There's not as you don't suddenly get that cauldron of police officers that can bank off a whole end, and that is a Category A match.
Yep. Another thing as well is, and by the way, I've got a lot of sympathy for the stewards. The stewards are not. They're not too keen to get involved.
Who wants to go in there? I mean,
an hour, you know.
You look at the ultras in Belgrade and some other places. These guys rule the roost, and the problem as well is you have a situation which I think, you know, if they get to that situation where they're running and fighting against each other, people say, "Oh, well, that's outside." There's people living in the houses around Hampden.
Yeah, there'll be people going about their normal Sunday morning business around about there as well. You know, and it must have been a fearsome sight if you're going down for your paper and your rolls, you know.
Yeah.
The old shug here.
Yeah.
Sunday morning duty, go down for my 4 rolls, Tam. For a slice, aye.
Yeah, and the other aspect of it, Hugh, which again I think is indicative of society and the way it's going. The applause for Ron Gordon was just ruined again. I mean, we're now in a situation where football fans can't pay tribute to anyone. There's always either somebody that ruins it or a group of people who decide to ruin it with song.
I always think, see, when it's getting to the stage as well, I always think, where is the value in it? Got to that stage, where is the value in actually doing it?
It's so sad,
isn't it?
For any other country it would be.
Where's the value?
Yeah, like, imagine you're tuning into a game for America or somewhere and you're thinking, that's a nice gesture for that man.
Yeah.
Imagine you're Ron Gordon's family say, well, watch the League Cup final. I think they're going to do something for my dad beforehand. God bless them.
Yeah. Okay. You can give us your thoughts on this one. Is it as bad as some people are making out? I mean, is there a huge job? We've actually put the case here that Michael Beale will look at the cup final. While he did want to win it, he knows he's got a bigger job ahead and a long-term plan for Rangers. How difficult do you think that job is going to be? Who would you keep? Because we've been discussing how many players would you keep of the current Rangers squad for next season, and where do you think the major surgery is needed? If at all. You might think the squad is there and it only needs tweaked. It's always good to get your thoughts on it. Celtic fans, obviously in dreamland, winning the League Cup and 9 points clear in the league and looking at a possible treble this season. How happy are you with the job that Ange Postecoglou is doing? Give us your thoughts on that as well. This is the Football Show. We talk football, we give you our opinion, and of course, if you get a chance, stream, share and subscribe. Join the football family. It's absolutely free. You'll get the opinions, you get a bit of banter as well. And thank you to so many of you who offer your opinion on the football issues and of course some of the unsavoury things that we see off the park that really tarnish our game and our image, not only here domestically but across the world. Okay, switch your attention to another piece of news. Liam Fox sacked. Tam and I were sitting in here and thought to ourselves, well, they're not going to sack him right after the game against Ross County, because quite simply he's getting a rundown on the team bus and he might have to get a train, It was different for Jim Goodwin. I think somebody at least had a car for him. He could walk away from Easter Road, but Dingwall's a different kettle of fish, so I think they were always going to wait and then bide their time before eventually the axe fell on Liam Fox.
Yeah, I think we all knew it was coming. I think he knew as well. I think you could see by the interviews he was doing pre-games and that, he knew that he was one bad result away from losing his job. Must be a horrible feeling, to have to deal with, and he's a young guy getting in there, wanting to do well for the club, and it just never worked for him. And you do feel sorry for him, but you have to have a certain look. We keep saying have a look at the players. The players nearly have to look at themselves as well. It was a really, really poor performance, and it's been like that for a long time.
Yeah, if anything, the board has been getting it in the neck. Tony Asgard, obviously the owner as well, Hugh. They've made some mistakes. I mean, 7 games for Jack Ross. You know, of the time that they've been in there, there's been 2 or 3 other managers who have left of their own volition. And then I think the major questions have also been some of the signings, the money they're on, the actual performance that they've delivered. But ultimately, the big criticism of Liam Fox's appointment was he looked out of his depth.
Well, yeah, I mean, the results seem to frighten it. I mean, you've got to look at clubs as well and making changes in early in the season or mid-season. They're going for who's the viable options. You saw it with Stevie Hamilton, you've seen it with Stuart Kettlewell as well at Motherwell. Let's be honest, they were the easier options than somebody in a budget outside. It looks so far to have worked with Stuart Kettlewell. He's at least, he's done well. He's gathered the points total up. Oh, so the Liam Fox thing was just sliding and sliding and sliding, and you don't even have to watch the performance. You just have to look at your phone, 20 to 5 or 10 to 5 on a Saturday, and you see Ross County 4 and United 0, and you just say to yourself, he's off. Yeah, he can't survive that.
And if you've seen the highlights as well, Peter, it could have been worse. I mean, they hit the post. I think they hit the post twice. The goal disallowed. That could have been 6 or 7. And but when performance like that comes in, then you're looking for a new manager.
Yeah, well, not only are they looking for a new manager, but talking about new managers, Craig Levein, one of the favourites.
That was one of the first names that I heard last night. Was Craig Levein, and the other one was Tam Coates. So
it's a strange obsession up there with Craig Levein, isn't there?
I think he'd done well before at Dundee United. I think the fans still hold him in quite high esteem. I think they need somebody like that with big experience to maybe get the best out of them short term to the end of the season. But he was poor at Hearts. You know, he was chased out of Hearts, and then he couldn't wait to get rid of him. The supporters there, so I don't know. Maybe they'll go for someone like that short term to the end of the season. Tam Coates is there, a guy who done really well with Dundee United. I think he could possibly be one at the end of the season as well. But there's other ones. You know, Charlie Mulgrew. I don't see him getting the job. He's no experience. Stevie Crawford, good pals with Stevie. Don't know about that one either. I think they've got to try and get somebody in fresh, a fresh set of eyes, fresh voice, to try and just lift them, because they've got a good squad of players, but they're not performing at all, Peter.
That board meeting today must be something where they all basically have to say to each other, listen, you need to go for experience. This is the statement that the Dundee United board released on his departure. Dundee United can confirm we have parted company with Liam Fox, who leaves his role as head coach by mutual agreement. That's just basically sacked in today's wording. The board would like to thank Liam for all his efforts and professionalism during his time as assistant head coach last season and this season during his tenure as head coach. An announcement as to a new head coach will be made in the near future, and we will make no further statement at this time. I think it needs to, I mean, the problem,
quick.
Well, it needs not only that,
points adrift.
I think it needs to be an experienced person, Hugh, and I'll tell you why. And I'm not so sure about Craig Levein being the option here. It needs to be an experienced person to try and get in and say, listen, stop all this press releases about, well, we'll just bounce back in the championship. You know, this is critical. You need to go and find somebody who can say, right, I'm and for the benefit of our younger viewers, Red Adair was a Texan, I think he was from Texas. He used to go and put out fires in oil
fields.
The oil fields. That's what Dundee United are at.
Absolutely. I mean, Tam had in the head, and every time he's talking there to the end of the season. That's what it seems like. They don't have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, or let's get a strategy. See, the end of the season, they've got to be in that league. They've got to be in the Premiership. How do we stay in the Premiership this season? How do we do that? What is the best way? And the best way is to get an experienced manager in, settle things up, get a bit of strategy, organisation into the team, because already they're detached. They're detached already. I mean, it's not like this is not a problem in the making. This is a problem right now. The fire alarm bell's going. We're gathered in the forecourt. Somebody's got to sort this out now. The stuff, I don't know where the stuff has come from, Oregon and all that about, the championship, just going to the championship and thinking we bounce back. Deary me. I mean, that's not a league to bounce back from. The team 200 yards up the road from them,
struggling to get out of it.
A storied history.
Yeah.
They're sweating bullets to get out of it. They're involved in a real hand-to-hand combat with Queen's Park and maybe others. We don't know, somebody else might join in before the end of the season because it's tight. But they're involved in hand-to-hand combat to get up.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an experienced manager out of a job who did well the last time he was there.
Dundee
Ian
United,
McCall.
Ian McCall.
Do you think he was on a hefty wage when he eventually left the place?
He did particularly well, and he's got all the experience in the world, that kind of scenario. I mean, there'll be other guys as well.
Yeah, okay, interesting one there, Ruffy. Obviously, in fact, I think Hugh Scott's just mentioned
Did you get that
Ian
100
McCall.
quid on him? You were talking about earlier, McCall.
I'm meeting him tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
okay, that's fine. Here's how the Dundee United result fares in the rest of the weekend games. So it was Aberdeen 1, Livingston 0. Miofsky scoring that goal. Kilmarnock thought they had 3 points until Slattery popped up with a wonder free kick. Ross County 4, Dundee United 0. And St Johnstone 1, St Mirren 1 was the Battle of the Saints. That's how it all finished. Aberdeen, I think, Miofsky, he's been worth his weight in gold, Ruffy, hasn't he? He's popped up with goals, crucial ones that have won them points.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly, since he's came, he's been potent. He's scored most of their goals. He looks like a real striker who knows where the back of the net is, and that's where they're getting all the success. And long may it continue. How are they going to hold on to him? Because there's supposed to be somebody abroad keeping their eye on him as well. So
England as well, there's apparently a couple of teams in England looking up.
And the other aspect of this is, in fair play to Barry Robson, he's in there and he's trying to instill that real fight in this squad, the squad that he's inherited, whether he gets it full time or whether he's just there as the caretaker. He wants the players, I think, to show the same type of determination Barry had as a player.
You've got to win second balls against Livingston. In fact, you've got to win second balls against anyone. I remember Arsene Wenger doing an interview, it must have been 10, 15 years ago, and he plays with the best players in the world, and he turned around and he said, well, why did you lose today? He said, well, it doesn't matter how many good players you got, if you don't win second balls, you're not going to win games. So you've got to be able to do that. You've got to be able to win that battle against Livy. And when you do, like we did a lot of the game, them could start to bring the talent and that speed on transition that excites me and excites everyone else. I would like to hope. And you get Duke, you get Boyan, you get Ryan Duncan at times. Was that three of them just running, and it gets everyone, and it scares other teams as well. So we saw flashes of it, we saw bits of it. And Ramadani and Shinnie in the middle of the pitch, they just want to go to war, don't they? And if you want to play for Aberdeen, win games, you need to go to war.
Well, I think he'll be looking for them to continually go to war between now and the end of the season to see how high they can finish. Whether he's going to get it or not, that's open. That's the big debate with Alan Burrows. That's his first task, to look at the candidates and then try and pick the right one.
Yeah, I think that he's putting himself in position to get Burnley a chance of getting the job. I think if you win games, listen, the week before Celtic away is a difficult game, and they got away with that with their reputation in hand, intact. I should say that they didn't get an absolute tanking, so that was a good result for them. I think he's putting himself in a short window for other clubs as well. He's not just Aberdeen here. He's in there. He's doing his best for himself, and the club. And there might be a manager in 6 months' time, something that's like their manager and go, Barry Robson done well at Aberdeen, spoke well, liked the way they cut his jib. Maybe give him a chance. So I don't think it's just Aberdeen for Barry at the minute. I like the way he speaks. He's getting some results for Aberdeen. I don't think he'll get the job long term. I think that you might take it to the end of the season, and then I think that Aberdeen will get somebody more experienced in. Okay,
we're talking about jobs that are available and managers that could be in line for a job. The man who lost the game at the weekend, David Martindale, we'll get your thoughts on that, Hugh, in a moment. He wasn't happy with their performance against the Dons.
We were very, very weak in the terms. We weren't our usual selves, we weren't dominant. And that was a disappointing aspect of that. We were squaffing clearances, giving throw-ins away, then not getting on the floor, and he's putting a ball in our box, that goes to a corner, there's another ball in your box. I think there must have been about 20 corners in the first half. I think we probably had 5 or 6 of them ourselves, but really, did anybody really dominate possession? Don't think so.
Okay, he's always honest in his assessment of games, doesn't try and shirk it. Is he good enough to get a bigger job?
I don't even know if it was good enough. I don't think I've always got the feeling that it's very difficult for him to get another job. I don't know if he's just been sort of condemned by his past or condemned by the perception of him as a long ball manager or somebody that just do well at Livingston. Also, we've had conversations with him as well, and you always get the feeling that it would take something really big to take him away from Livingston because he's in with the bricks there. I don't know. Do you take a chance on him if you're in Aberdeen? I don't know if they will. I think the thing I look at with Cormac at Aberdeen, Alan Burrows is now in the sort of driving seat. I think he started officially this morning. Do they look at guys from the MLS with that contacts? I know they went down that road before. Do they widen it to other managers, English managers coming up? It's a really good job, Aberdeen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a really good job, and they're going to have a lot of interest. And if you're asking me, Dave Martin deal for Aberdeen, I just don't see it.
Okay. It looked as if St Mirren might have thought they could get all 3 points against St Johnstone. They were down to 10 men, Ruffy. In the end, it was a share of the spoils. Doesn't really help any of them when you're in that area. You want to get wins against teams around you.
Yeah, it's the 3 points that take you away from it. I mean, Motherwell have proved that with the 2 wins they got when we were all talking about their relegation, and then all of a sudden they get 2 wins, and now they're no relegation. They're breathing a wee bit more, and they get a wee break in the game at the weekend as well. But it's winning games. Draws aren't any good. But I'm just looking forward to the split. I think the split's going to be so excited because everybody's in it.
Yeah, and it's going to be nervy, nail-biting. It might be that the experienced managers are the ones who step up to the plate, because Kilmarnock thought they were in line for a welcome 3 points until Slattery popped up for Motherwell with an absolute belter of a free kick. And Derek McInnes, far from happy. He knew that Slattery was more than capable of doing that for Motherwell.
One thing they were guilty of today was just kind of a wee bit naivety in giving away one too many fouls in the last 5 minutes of the game. And all it does is give them another opportunity to sail the ball forward and make it a fight. And the game being about second balls, and we gave that foul away in the last part of the game there. And there's 2 parts here. We give him a free hit from the free kick. He's still got a lot to do, Slattery. But there's players in every league, every team in this league who are capable of doing that.
Yeah, well, Motherwell are capable of doing it. The manager, though, the new manager, Stuart Kettlewell, not too happy with the overall performance.
It's important again that you've got a group that understand where they've went wrong in the first 45. And I've just said that to the players there. If they come in there happy with their performance after 45 minutes, we've got an issue, we've got a problem. But they took ownership for it. It's my job then to try and tweak certain aspects of the game, which I hope we did, even with changes. We changed our system, which helped us.
So, there's a share of the points there. Here's the table, Tam. And as Ruffy mentioned there, that split's going to be nervy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that obviously you're at the top end of it, Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, I think will be definitely in the top 6, and then you can throw a blanket over the next 3 or 4. I think St Mirren will fancy their chances, Aberdeen, Livingston, and then St Johnstone an outside chance. So I think there's 3, maybe 2 or 3 going for that one place. At the bottom, Dundee United, 4 points adrift now, obviously got a game in hand, but I think it's going to be the bottom 4 now. I don't see St Johnstone getting dragged into it. I think Motherwell, Ross County, Kilmarnock, Dundee United is going to be our bottom 4. And then when it goes into that split, I've been in that situation myself with a couple of clubs, Dunfermline and Dundee. When you start to play against each other, these are massive games. These are 6 pointers. These are games you cannot afford to lose. I remember at Dundee, the game before the split, we beat Dunfermline to go 13 points ahead, the bottom. And it was only 1 goes down. There was no playoff, and we picked up 1 point from the bottom 6 games and got beat and went down the last game of the season. Yeah. So, it's you're never safe in that bottom 6 because everybody's playing against each other.
Yeah, do you know what you remind me of, Tam? It's like you go to the doctor's, Ruffy, and you really say to yourself, "Oh, this is serious what I've got," and then you look in the doctor's surgery and you see Tam sitting there, and you say, "There's always somebody worse off than yourself, isn't there?"
Do you ever mean the comics? Do you ever mean the Beano? It was Jonah in the comic, and that's where he went. So no, did he say? I mean, see if we go on a plane with me, I would just be saying, "Oh, I've left my luggage." I'm not scuttling down the steps.
Absolutely.
I'm not on a plane with him.
He's just not. Yeah, whenever there's a story,
There's always a bad ending.
See if you're getting a high, he just gives you the dark side of it. Honestly,
I'm looking at 13 points ahead. The wee happy ending. We ended up qualifying for Europe, and I won the European Cup and played in Champs. It's like. We took 1 point and we got relegated.
Listen, if
1 point for 15.
if they make a new Star Wars movie, you should be Darth Tam. I mean, it's absolutely amazing how you can put a dark
Right,
cloud.
this is the bit I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Come on, Pedro,
Well,
hurry up.
I'm going to give you
hurry
because
up.
here it comes.
And
Because
Stuart as well.
I think there's a bigger story here.
Shuggles.
Here's the
Because Rangers
predictor.
won the league action.
Here's the predictor. Alan Ruff. Is that 257, Ruffy, you're on? 237. Tam 233. I'm on 229. I've dropped. Alison's on 208, but there's the big news.
Look at this at the
Tam
bottom
Cowan
now.
188 and Hugh McDonald 186, and suddenly Hugh
2 points behind.
2 points behind. You're on.
It's just need
Game
Rangers to
on.
have a bad patch and you're in business.
How do you feel?
Oh, but now I'm getting excited.
That's what you want.
Shuggles.
Game on.
Now I'm getting. I mean, that's. I'm looking at the top now.
Yeah.
I'm
Listen,
looking
the
at
whole
top.
thing.
Steady on, Shug.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it looks, and I think it's getting nervy now.
Peter Brapton in the top two.
Especially, I'm not bothered. I'm never going to lose and just take 1 point from the next 15. I think I'm safe, and I'm not going to be buying
What'd
the
you
meal.
get for winning? Not the
Trophy.
It's a
It's a
trophy.
trophy, yeah,
It's a big cup.
And a free scran.
It's a big cup. Free scran. What more can you ask for, Hugh?
Oh.
And it's a big trophy this year. It's none of the.
this
It's
with
not the wee
cool
piddly
lugs.
one we bought Ali.
One with lugs.
Yeah, one with lugs. So it's well worthy of winning it. I'll tell you a man who is delighted that they lifted a trophy, Eric Ten Hag, Manchester United, 2-0 winners, Ruffy, and in the end, I felt sorry for Newcastle, but they were outplayed.
Yeah, they certainly were. And all credit to their support. I thought their support were absolutely magnificent. Even at the end of the game, the white and the black flags were flying everywhere. They really enjoyed their day out, and they just didn't have enough quality, did they? And how ironic it was, the first goal scorer was a part of our quiz question last week.
Yeah, Casemiro. Yeah, absolutely. He has been one of the signings of the season, hasn't he?
I mean, I laughed when people were saying, what are they signing him for? You know, you say to yourself, what are you signing him for? Because he's, he
Won 4 Champions Leagues.
for a start. He's a winner. I think he's been really cute, Ten Hag, in knowing what he wants. He's been really tough at what he doesn't want. And he's made some great decisions, and they'll come off him. I watched him the other night there against Barcelona, and the thing that got me about it was the sheer kind of vigour of his team, the energy in his team, the way they were sweating for every point. I think there's going to be so much to come from players that are coming into the team again. I think Sancho has been through a really terrible time. I don't know what the backstory was there, but he's been through a terrible time. Believe me, he's a top class player, and him coming back. Rashford just turned around into what we always hoped he would be. Fernandes in midfield.
Keep him now.
Fernandes in midfield is terrific. Goalkeepers playing again. Even guys like Shaw at fullback are now looking at the way they were. I just think they're not out of that title race, you know.
Well, the funny thing is, they've won a trophy, and Eric Ten Hag is hoping it's the platform for even more silverware.
This has to be the inspiration. This has to be the motivation to keep going, to continue on this pathway, and to improve. To not be happy. Okay, happy for 24 hours, but not be satisfied, because satisfaction that leads to laziness.
Yeah, so you can tell he's got the desire, and there was a great photograph of him with Sir Alex Ferguson.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I was thinking that any time you had a conversation with Alex Ferguson about motivation, and he said the biggest thing is after you've won, just after you've won. He said, I used to look at them all in the dressing room after winning, and I wanted to know they wanted to go again. First day of training, he says the big thing is to see people crunching into tackles, people crab it, people want to go again, because you said, well, we've just won the league, but they don't care about that. And I thought it was really interesting, both Postecoglou and Ten Hag turned clubs round very, very quickly, and both had the same press conference afterwards. Basically enjoy it for 24 hours. because on Tuesday morning we're back at it.
Yeah.
I think when you look at both clubs as well, Celtic and Man United, they're filled with winners. They're filled with players that have won a lot of trophies. I looked at Man United team, 2 World Cup winners, Martinez and Varane. Casemiro's won the Champions League, what, 4 times? You know, and that Newcastle didn't have anything like in their team.
No.
And Celtic were the same. Cal McGregor's won everything. Rangers just never had enough winners in the team, and it was no surprise to me that both of them won their respective cups.
Yeah, Eddie Howe keen to get Newcastle back there to try and get silverware for those fantastic fans.
Already for me, you look to the future and you're desperate to get back here and win a trophy. See the supporters who have been absolutely incredible for us this year, to see them disappointed at the end hurts badly. And the motivation and the thoughts are already going to how we can come back here and win them the trophy that they deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell he's disappointed there. So Manchester United winning the Carabao Cup. Just before we go, and we'll give you a chance to look at our competition again in the next couple of seconds, a group of Scotland fans are hoping to raise some money to get their GoFundMe page going for tifo displays. These are, really intricate displays that are put out there, whether it be a Champions League game, a cup final. There was certainly a huge display at both ends of the cup final, the Rangers and Celtic fans. So this is a group of Scotland fans trying to raise money for a display at the Euro 2024 qualifiers. The same group who are doing this created a tifo at the World Cup playoff final in 2022, and they're hoping to do again for the games against Cyprus and Spain in March. So the Scotland tifo group are asking for donations online to allow the group to put together a big colourful display to back the team at Hampden. The group has a goal of £15,000 and you can get it there. If you are part of the Tartan Army and you want to put that little extra cash, if you've got any, then you can help them out and get that tifo in place.
Shell's got that on the side of the Audi, in the ashtray.
Yeah. I was going to say to you, Hugh, the thing about it is, some of them are fantastic. The work that goes into it is amazing.
Well, I'm just thinking here, it's got to be a big roughie going backwards, just touching that ball onto the crossbar against Wales.
Yeah.
That's got to be it.
That would be a good tifo, by the way. I'm trying to think of what the best one I've seen of the tifos down through the years, whether it be here or in Europe, because there's some special ones.
There's some crackers. I mean,
I think one of the best ones I've seen was it I think it might have been Lech Poznan.
Was it Lech Poznan? That's the famous one with the fire going through it. That was a famous one.
That was the best one I've seen. It's on YouTube somewhere.
Absolutely. So good luck to them with that. It's certainly something that you can find on our website. What about the club that Kyogo was signed from? No.
They begin with a G.
Funny you should say that. No. What was it?
In Japanese, it's
yeah.
That's the name of it.
And the overall. That's Hugh trying to say Vissel Kobe, but he can't.
Vissel Kobe.
Did you have got that?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I don't think Ange was the manager there.
No, he's the Mariners. Yokohama Mariners.
Just knew him. It was not bad, actually.
Played in the same team as Iniesta.
That's
right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you. Iniesta.
Kyogo. They must have had some link up.
Is he the player of the year?
Him and Cal McGregor. But if Kyogo scores 30, then I think. But then you've got Shankland who might score 30.
Yeah.
Shankland scores. Are they the three for me at the minute?
Three front runners?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I can't think of anybody else. Miovski scored 17. If he gets 25, maybe in a mix.
I think Moy gets in the argument as well.
If McGregor wins it after picking up that long injury as well, that would be amazing. I mean, he won it last year by an absolute country mile from the fellow professionals. I was just curious to see what your thoughts on that were. Congratulations, I said, to Scott Fraser, who won the Messi replica World Cup shirt. This time, Adam, I think, was out in Leipzig, and he picked up this fantastic RB Leipzig top for us.
Still got the security tag on it as well.
Absolutely, so he done well.
I was out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's how you can win it.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. Rangers fans, Celtic fans recognise this jersey. Of course, you've played against them both in European football recently. It's the jersey of RB Leipzig. You can win this by answering the following simple question. What does the RB stand for in RB Leipzig? If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's not as easy as people are thinking, by the way.
no.
People are looking at RB and thinking this is a wee shoe-in, which we
It's
won't
not,
mention.
no.
But it's not. It's a tough one, this one, Hugh, isn't it?
Yeah, unless you've got a computer, then you can type in Google.
Yes.
That's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck with the competition. It's well worth it. It's a fantastic prize. Thanks for that, Hugh. Listen, I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to just as we get ready to say farewell to you. We've got a special programme which we will put out later this week. Again, you know, sharing a few stories here and there. Tam Cowan, Ruffy and Hugh and myself will be at Inspired Flooring on Tuesday night. I'm looking forward to it in Motherwell, tomorrow night. And Inspired Flooring and Interiors, Ruffy. Now, the reason I'm saying that, Ruffy, is because it gives us a chance to maybe get some extra ornaments and various other little things that they've got. You know, it's that some of the furniture in it is absolutely fantastic. It's the type of shop that I reckon, you know, if you had a wife who was, you know, looking to spruce the house up, it would be ideal for you. But if you miss out on it, you miss out on all those discounts and all the fabulous stuff that's in the shop, Ruffy.
And everybody loves a freebie, don't they?
Yeah, I wouldn't go, I wouldn't go that far.
He's ordered a van.
Have you met Greg? Greg is panicking. Anyway, we're really looking forward to that. We'll be out there in Motherwell at the Inspired Flooring and Interior, just basically having a bit of a chat with some of the customers and sharing a few stories for a wee while. And then I'm going to take you for dinner, Ruffy. You happy with that?
I'm more than happy, yep. I haven't been in this restaurant.
It's a
Heard
brilliant
so much
restaurant.
about it.
Good restaurant,
Yeah.
Hugh. It's up there. That's all I'm saying to you. Anyway, good luck with the competition. Join us tomorrow if you can, because Ruffy, Neil Murray's going to be on the show. We had about doing the
wise one,
the old film
Gandalf.
preview.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
I never recognised him, to tell you the truth.
No, neither did have the punters. They thought I'd signed Michael Bolton. But Neil's a good lad, and we're really looking forward to having him on the show tomorrow, 4 o'clock till 5, live here in the studio with Tam Cowan as well. So with that, thank you to you all for contributing. We'll see you tomorrow.